So I can't believe I'm already back saying this, but get this, yes, we have more nerfs to go over, and this time it seems like players are not so happy about this one. However, what some people are not noticing is that this is part 1 of 2 updates, and that right there is very significant to keep in mind going forward. And a new patch dropped with some changes that we're going to go over as well, and we're going to talk a little bit about the witch, and most notably, yes, we're going to go into some very big in-game feedback, because yeah, some players are having a rough go at it right now, and think that there needs to be considerable changes going forward when it comes to the in-game. But let's get into these most recent official changes here. Check it out. It says currently it's a bit too easy to detonate gas cloud explosions when combined with persistent ignite skills like flame wall. We'll be adjusting the explosion damage of both gas grenade and gas arrow for now in an upcoming hotfix. In the future, we want to update it such that the potency of the ignite or detonator contributes to determining the damage of the gas cloud explosions. That way we would be able to avoid bouncing around the simplest and most efficient way to apply ignites. And oh boy, some players were definitely not happy about these changes, calling out the game director himself, saying this. Funny how in a very recent interview, you said you wouldn't look into nerfing things, but instead buff things to be in line with those things. Turned around pretty quick on that. And you can see some people are definitely agreeing with this one. Nerfs can really hurt, especially if your build centers around the skill that's being nerfed. But then again, it looks like this is going to be a 2-part update as indicated by this part in the post right here, which is kind of overlooked, stating they want gas grenade and gas arrow to really stand out with the ignite and detonator specifically. So I'm kind of curious to see exactly what they're going to fine tune in regards to that. And to be honest with you, it kind of feels like the devs are playing with fire a little bit here, because I'm getting a bit of flashbacks to the early days of Diablo 4 where they nerfed the hell out of everything. I'm just hoping that's not the case here, of course, because they are kind of indicating, hey, hold up. We are going to be doing future updates to these abilities. We know you love them, don't worry. It's just that there's going to be growing pains. This is early access. And remember, this is one of 3 nerfs that they've already committed to, and there might be more, who knows. If you missed it, I covered exactly what they did with Magnetic Salvo and Supercharged Slam, and you can find those videos on my channel if you missed them. But I said we go over those patch notes as to exactly what has changed here. So gas grenade's explosion base damage has been reduced to 150% through 468% at gym levels 1 through 20. It was previously 240% through 749%. So yeah, I imagine that might have affected some builds big time. But just stick with me here, because the community has discovered some interesting things around this as to why grinding gear games actually decide to do this. But anyway, back to the patch notes here. We have gas arrow's explosion base damage has been reduced to 100% through 312% at gym levels 1 through 20. Previously, that was sitting at 250% through 780%. So yeah, definitely a massive reduction there, especially once you get into the higher tiers of gym levels. So again, I gotta know how you guys are feeling about these nerfs. But they also did some temporarily disabling of some stuff here. It says temporarily disabled the blood-soaked character effect microtransaction, and they also fixed an issue where some players could get stuck on a loading screen indefinitely. They fixed a bug where you could not refund Atlas passive skills when using controller, and fix a bug with automatic gateway selection when playing on console, and a client crash that could occur when toggling the hide login email option, and 4 other client crashes and 2 instant crashes. Almost sounds like a Christmas song was forming there. And I imagine some of you are really worried that your favorite build or favorite skill is about to be nerfed to the ground. Well, we have this comment right here. We're currently playing alongside you all and are also collating a lot of your feedback that we'll be addressing as much as possible in the upcoming week once the team is back in the office before the holidays. So they will be sitting down with us talking about their plans in the future and exactly the path that this game is going to be taking. So that is good news there. And again, I am going to be looking out for those buffs, because I'm certain we will be seeing several buffs for several of the skills and classes in this game, because some things feel like they are underperforming for sure. But anyway, we have some comments here about all of these nerfs, which kind of leads to a discovery. Check it out. It says persistent skills affect gas grenade too strongly. Okay, grinding gear game, so you're changing the interaction between persistent skills and gas grenade? Nah, we're just gonna nerf the gas grenade. Again, you can see that had 641 upvotes, which is quite a bit, and you can see how many people are actually utilizing the gas grenades, and they are bummed. And then we got this reply here. Yes, that's what got me. I understand nerfing the interaction, but why the damage nerf? I was barely doing any damage with it anyway on bosses. And this link right here is where it gets interesting. It says gas arrow explosions hit ridiculously hard for some reason. You could get phase 1 Doriani to 0% HP even though he's supposed to transform at 50%. Which leads us to this video right here, which showcases how OP these gas arrows can be and why it seems like Grinding Gear Games decided to nerf them. And the immediate reply to the footage was this right here. Okay, this looks actually broken, but I hope this nerf doesn't hit Skeleton Sniper's gas arrows that can only do it on command with a long-ass cooldown. And I definitely think there's a portion of the community that would argue, hey, you're supposed to have broken godlike builds. What's the problem? It's supposed to be fun to be able to get to this level where you're absolutely decimating everything in your path, even a boss within like 30 seconds. So I do really understand that approach for sure. It's that Grinding Gear Games seems like they have an idea that they want this game to feel, again, very Souls-like, Elden Ring, that the bosses that you are going to be facing against should feel challenging and difficult. And some Witch mains a little bit worried about some of these nerfs. Check it out here. Skeleton Archer Gas Flame Wall SRS is the only thing getting my Witch through the game. I want to play totems, not rely on these spells. And this discussion also led into the fact that some players are feeling like the minions feel awfully weak. Check it out. Same here. I was excited to try minions, but holy crap, they suck. I'm only in Act 2 and really hoping this combo doesn't fall off in later acts. I've already tried minions, bone spells, and essence drain and contagion. Everything just feels like such a slog. And it was pointed out that, yep, everyone is playing SRS because it is carrying the minions hard. Some people feel like the minions are already pretty nerfed as well. So maybe, just maybe, it's the minions that need some love in the next big update. Perhaps some buffs are in order. And they also did some updates to monster life scaling. Check it out right here. They fixed a bug related to monster life scaling in parties, but they also did some other bug fixes when it comes to some characters not being able to log in, and some other instant crash fixes as well in Hotfix 9. That's already rolled out as a server-side update, so no need to like download the patch or anything like that. And it seems like players are having a lot of issues with the in-game. Check it out right here. The in-game is awful. Again, sound off if you agree with this one or not. It says having reached maps and done about 30 tier 1 to tier 3. By now, the in-game seems really bad. At least they decided to not pull through this decision on failed maps blocking certain paths. You can just retry them. The things that are super unfun and need to be addressed ASAP. And he's got quite the interesting list going here. But let's start with crafting. It says there's no crafting in the game currently, at least no deterministic crafting. I'd be fine with that if the crafting currency would drop at 5 times the rate it currently does. But it doesn't. In in-game mapping, I get enough currency to try and craft a single item in about 2 to 3 hours of raw farming, and it could turn out to be utter garbage because it's fully RNG. I've heard a big part of the problem with the end game is that bosses just are underwhelming when it comes to their specific rewards. You would expect bosses in particular to be churning out some sort of meaningful rewards to really reward the player's time and effort. It just doesn't seem to be the case. And apparently some players are not happy with the fact that losing maps is a thing. So check it out. Losing maps on death, bad decision. Mobs are too hard and you die way too fast. Losing them sucks and it's not fun. Portals already in the game, let us use them. So do you guys think they should change up this type of system, or do you think that it should remain this challenging once you enter into the end game, and that yes, you should face the risk of losing maps? And yet again, yes, it's the loot. It says loot in general way too little, not only currency orbs, but also raw items. Most maps don't even give a single rare item. What the hell? Yeah, that seems a bit ridiculous, and I think it might be, crossing my fingers, hopefully an early access issue. And we haven't talked too much about leagues, but we sure are now. Check it out, balancing. Some of the league mechanics seem extremely unbalanced, totally wrecking you. I've tried everything but Breach by now, and especially Delirium was horrible, but it seemed like the mobs of every league mechanic did way more damage than regular mobs. A single Expedition White mob takes off 80% of my 1,700 life. Also, certain mob types are extremely dangerous as well. It really does feel like the development team really got kind of obsessed with making this game as difficult as possible. I think they sat around the office playing a lot of Souls games and Elden Ring. And again, it definitely shows with the difficulty. But I've also seen many of you guys saying, Robbie, tell Grinding Gear Games to not touch the difficulty. I am enjoying the challenge immensely. Please keep it as is. So right now, definitely seems like there's that strange divide within the community where some players are like, hey, I love the challenge, and other players are like, you know what? Tune down the difficulty. And we also have feedback about gearing. It says getting decent gear is brutally hard. Getting your resistance up is even harder, and there's no crafting bench and no deterministic crafting. The best thing you can do is to check out vendors for items with sockets and buy them to salvage these for the Artificer's Orbs so you can put some extra res on your gear. And even in Path of Exile 1, resistance is extremely important, and I have found In the early game, by the way, if you think about starting a new character, this has been absolutely invaluable for me personally. It's just immediately going to the shop, finding the next best thing, and just buying it. I can't tell you how much that has helped me in the early game, but not being too picky about gold in that regard. And the post wrapped up by saying this: it's really not fun in a state like this. There may be people who enjoy this ruthless nature of the game, but I assume it's a small percentage. If Grinding Gear Game wants to keep the current player base, they need to do drastic changes to all the mentioned points soon, or I'll bet the majority will quit once they reach maps, if they even do, because campaign can be a pain at times too. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of the player base can reach the in-game very quickly, but I also feel like Grinding Gear Games knows they have a little bit of time, a little bit of a window to perhaps adjust things in that in-game before like the majority of the player base reaches it. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It can end up right here in a future video. So yes, let's talk about body blocking. It says body blocking is frustrating and currency and drops could be a lot better. I really do not know if they're going to change up, dodge and how that actually works, if they're going to add phasing or not. I'm wondering if they're going to take a different approach with it and try to add like more abilities to like disrupt crowds getting around you, or even modifying current existing abilities to allow that sort of thing, because I feel like they want to make mobs feel very, very threatening, that yes, you can be cornered and you got to be very careful of the space you are in. They don't want it to be like Diablo 4 where you're just like going through mobs with ease and it's just like no problem. But we'll see what happens. I think that there's multiple solutions to this problem, but a lot of you guys just want phasing, and that is definitely by far the easiest solution no matter what. And I was wondering when someone was going to bring up this next one. It says, please, please, please shut the damn pets up in town. It's driving me crazy, and there's always at least one person AFKing in town with a pet. Either shut up the pets for everyone who doesn't have one out, or give me an option to mute them. Yes, it's almost like you've moved into a neighborhood where there's those couple of people that just do not care if their dog is like going absolutely crazy through all hours of the day, night. So that's how it feels sometimes. Sometimes I catch myself like, what is that noise? And I realize, oh my God, it's these pets. So yeah, I do agree that they do need to open up the options to at least like have a mute tab where you can like mute all the pets. And next up we have, I always played ARPGs with mouse and keyboard as you get the most control that way, or so I felt anyhow, being so many people were praising how well it was done with controller, so I gave it a shot, and holy smokes, was I surprised. It's almost as if the game was designed for use of a controller, especially when it comes to switching weapons and dodge rolling. I also super freaking hope they don't nerf the difficulty. Path of Exile has always been a long, slow tune build up before you're blasting anything that comes your way. It's what us fans enjoy and look forward to, and why the passive tree is so massive. I have nothing but praise for this game. Definitely my game of the year for 2024. From what I am seeing, they definitely need to be super cautious about nerfing the difficulty at all. There is so much people saying do not touch the difficulty. I'm sure the devs are very apprehensive about doing anything with it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get those buffs eventually. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Path of Exile 2 news. As always, I have you guys covered on this one. And yes, look out for more Stalker 2 and anything around Warhammer 40k. Yes, one more day until the Warhammer 40k big update. Cannot wait for that. But thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.